It's the Regular Guy Bible Study with your buddy Kevin Clay.
Wah, wah, we have you now. We shall incapacitate you with our flatulence of fury.
Oh no, looks like we're doomed. What are we gonna do? I'll save you, backfoul beast. You shall not pass gas.
Oh, hi there. Kevin Clay here with the Regular Guy Bible Study. Today, talking about God, the Bible, and zombies. And of course, zombies aren't mentioned anywhere in the Bible. So I guess that wraps up today's study. Thanks for tuning in.
It's the Regular Guy.
Oh, no, wait.
Bible Study with
My
your-
mistake. Okay, actually, there is something we can say about zombies and the Bible. I got to thinking, I know that's got you worried right there. He got to thinking. But I got to thinking about all the zombies and things that the movies that are out in the books and things like that. Why are zombies so popular now? And when I look back at history, I think a society's monsters say a lot about what their deepest fears are. I mean, you think back to the pre-electric age, people were just scared of the dark. What's out there in the woods at night. And so you had all kinds of ghosts and vampires and witches and werewolves and things like that. Well, then electricity came along and we could light some of the darkened places. And then the question becomes, but what do we need to fear from this electricity? So then you had Frankenstein's monster, things like that. And then, of course, with the atomic age, you've got, Godzilla and the giant crawling eyeball. That's one of my favorites right there. The mutated ants, just anything that could be mutated by radioactivity was. And so these things reflect our fears. With the coming of the communist scare, they could be anywhere. It could be one of you. You had the pod people and people who looked normal, but really they were the soulless pod people from outer space and puppet masters and things like that. So where does that bring us to zombies? Why the sudden interest in zombies, or the ongoing or growing interest in zombies? Well, first of all, let's look at zombies and see some of the characteristics, see if that won't give us a bit of a clue. First of all, they move around and they eat, but they're not really living. They follow instincts over intellect. They don't care who they hurt, even including their fellow zombies, have no care for any other beings. And they have no desire to be cured and will actually try to attack and destroy those who have the cure. So where does that lead us into modern society? Well, here is my theory, my opinion, capital O, and that's what it's worth. It seems to me that the more we become a society without God, without any kind of divine spark to our existence, the more we buy into this thought that really everything you see, everything around us just occurred by accident, that you have a bunch of elements and you throw enough time into the mix, into the equation, and eventually things just sort of happen at random. So you're nothing special. You're just a collection of chemicals that came together, that somehow was animated into life and into this illusion of thinking you are alive and that you are important. But really, what are you? Well, you're just this being walking around, you're eating, you're doing your own thing and waiting to die. A lot like a zombie. And you say, well, no, but we still care about each other, do we? I mean, have you seen some of the comments on Facebook or on stories? The comment section, look into that in any section and see how vicious people are becoming. And I think, zombie society. I think not only the fear that we have become this animated, decaying flesh waiting to die, but also the fear that all of these people around us are waiting to devour us. And basically, I think that's a pretty good assessment of society if there is nothing divine to us. If all we are is creatures of chance and evolution, then the difference between us and zombies is what? You say, we're smarter than zombies. Are we? Do we say things like we're just going to do our own thing, even to our own self-destruction? Do we just care about ourselves over other people? And are we just sort of fooling ourselves with eating and drinking until we finally decay and die and maybe our heads fall off? So if those are the questions, what are the answers? Well, we go back to somebody who claimed to be from outside the zombie facility, the guy with the cure, the Omega Man, if you will, and that would be Jesus Christ, who thousands of years ago seemed to address this problem of people having life but not really living. And in the New Testament, the book of John, he says things in John 10:10, it says, I have come so that they may have life and have it to the full. It's not enough, he understands, that we have life, that we are animated, but that we have this fullness of life that isn't available just in our mere existence. In John 14:6, he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Once again, you want some life? Go to the guy who has the life to give. And well, does he really? Well, you know, the stories anyway claim that he was crucified. He was in the tomb for 3 days. He'd been stabbed. He'd been beaten, pretty much as dead as you could be. And yet he did find a way to become reanimated, to come to life again. And this is what he's promising his followers. In fact, he says in John 4, and let's everybody get out your phone so you can follow along, John 4, and he's talking to a woman at a well that he'd met, and she's drawing water. And he says in John 4:13, everyone who drinks of some of this water will be thirsty again, but whoever drinks some of the water that I will give him will never be thirsty again. But the water that I give him will become in him a fountain of water springing up to eternal life. Suddenly you have some purpose. Suddenly this life isn't the end. You aren't just waiting to decay and fall apart, and then that's the end. That's what Jesus Christ claims to have to offer. And if you're saying, well, that just sounds kind of crazy to me, that's fine. My question is this willing, or is this worth it to look into? Now, here's somebody saying, I've got a cure. And a lot of people have looked at it and said, yeah, that makes sense to me. Some people say it doesn't make sense, but have you really looked into it? Let me ask you this. If you were a zombie, would you just be one of those zombies lumbering around? Or would you take the time to look into a cure if one was offered to you and escape the zombieism? Ooh, there's our word of the day, zombieism. Let's try to escape it. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Kevin Clay. If you'd like to chit-chat more, the email is on the screen, and I would love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in.
It's the regular guy Bible study with your buddy Kevin Clay.